Hey everyone, good morning. It's about 6:30, right on the dot, if you will. Um, but I thought I'd take a look at the past 15 months of the Sonic comic book, if you will. Basically, the last 15 issues, and including as well some of the tie-ins with Sonic Universe. And when you take a look at some of the tie-ins, it kind of makes it a little over a year's worth of a story by now, if you know what I mean. Um, you know, first of all, let me explain something. When I talk about this situation, when I talk about what's going on in the comics, it's just my opinions. You know, first of all, to let anybody know out there, with all due respect, I have been a fan of the comics since the beginning. I haven't been collecting since the beginning, but I've been collecting, fairly for a long time. I have issues that date back all the way to, the single digits, if you know what I mean, like issue 6, where they did the Christmas Carol adaptation in one of the backups. I have the issue where they first met Evil Sonic, now known as Scourge. Things like that. I have the issue where Tails eats a fruit off a plant and becomes smart and becomes a jerk because of that, and then, and stuff. You get the idea. I've had that many issues. In fact, I even have the first issue where Sally gets roboticized. Yeah, like I've mentioned before, it only lasts for half of the story and everything, and it's not as threatening as many fans have pointed out as what's going on with her now. But still, I have that issue. I've even gone as far as to order from Archie Comics a lot of the back issues. You know how they have, I don't know if they still have them, but they have a lot of these years worth of comics, of issues stacked together. They just mail it right to you when you order it. So I have that, so I have those, so I'm basically caught up, just about. I wish they would do something with the single issues and even the issues before the 20s Spade situation, but I don't know if we'll ever get that. Yeah, we're getting it in the archives and everything, and that's good. So you could pretty much say I've read just about every story, except for the past 9 months, if you will, especially not with Universe. Not counting Universe, and counting Universe as well. And again, to make the situation perfectly clear, it's not that I have nothing against the story. I know some people will tell me just rip it open and read it, get over it. It's not that. It's more or less the fact that I've said it before. Many people will agree or disagree with me on it. That's okay. The only thing I don't like about what's going on right now is Sally's situation. I'm not used to seeing her in a mecha form. Okay, I know you're probably thinking, well, Brian, you're contradicting yourself. You saw her roboticized in issue 29. Yes, but here's the thing. When you read an issue, and you're reading the story, sometimes you open it up, you kind of flip towards the back, or towards the end of a story, and you see the result. So, I pretty much knew that she was going to be okay. We pretty much knew that. So, yeah, I'd seen her. I'd seen her roboticized before. I'm not going to deny that. But here's the thing. Many people, like I just said, many people may or may agree with me, may disagree with me. I'm not used to seeing her or a character like her in her stature in this kind of a situation for as long as they've been. You got to realize that we're almost going on a year in the next 2 to 3 issues of this whole situation. And the rumor going about, according to what people have said, Ian Flynn informed them of over the SDCC, the San Diego Comic-Con, is that the storyline with Sally was going to come to an end, or come to a climax, in the next 2 months. Now that might be understandable. That would be understandable because even though technically it would be 11 months, sometimes you just don't go like, month to month and say, okay, that's a month. Like, let's say today's the 27th. You don't just say, okay, July 27th to August 27th is a month. You don't do that. Instead, you just look at the month individually. So when you think about it, 230 individually, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. 41 technically is a year. I mean, if you, like I said, looked at it the way I pointed out, it'd be like, it would, 242 would have to be the area would have to climax. But the point is, I'm not used to seeing a character like her in that kind of a stature. I'm not used to seeing it for that long period of a time. So I can't really say yay or nay if I like it or not. Because okay, now first of all, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong about one thing. I looked at the design. I look at the weaponized design, I say, it's pretty cool, it's a good design, kind of make you feel threatening and all that, and kind of gives you an idea, kind of gets you guessing of if, and we always got to play that if game, because Ian's not really telling us what the climax is going to be. He's not going to flat out tell us, but if she's restored to flesh and blood, it kind of makes you guess, what is she going to look like? Is she going to look like she did before? Is she going to have a new outfit? Is she going to have a new hairstyle? There are people over at DeviantArt that have drawn up, and you can see this. You go to DeviantArt and you put in, like, say, post Mecha Sally or Sally new design or something like that, and you'll pretty much get what many people assume Sally would probably look like in some ways afterwards. Now, again though, I have nothing against the story. From what I have read, it's very intriguing. Yes, a lot of people have had their personal opinions about it. I mean, Game Boy Sage, Dan Dreisen, who's a very respected fan and reviewer of the series, has had his thoughts about it. I mean, he's even said some of the issues have not really felt, compelling or good, or really haven't had, as he puts it, the heart of the story inside. It doesn't have the heart, if you will. So there's Sage, there's Dan, there's Laser X5, there's others, there's Miko D, Double X Miko Double X, and just list of others. They just don't like certain things about it, but they're okay with the rest, or they just overall don't like it, like what's going on, whatever. To me, they have a right to their opinion no matter what. That's why, when I came out and said, back with 230, pretty much knowing what was going to happen, that's why I said, Ed, even before that, hey, until this thing's situated out, I'm not going to read any of the issues, and when it is situated in a sense, I'm going to start reading. So basically what that would mean is by this September, if it climaxes, either, we don't know how it's going to climax, I'll read the issues. I'll read the issues. I'll start reading every issue. It's as crazy as it sounds, I'll read every issue and kind of go by what I look at. But looking at the past now 15 issues, if you will, starting from 225 to now, to most recently, it's been, to me, it's been a very up and down ride. All this started out in Genesis when you think about it. We didn't know exactly I mean, this all, no, not Genesis. It all started with 225, which was a prelude to Genesis, which was the final countdown, if you will, the final issue before Genesis. And you know, to me, you know, the way they did it, you know, I think, you know, I will give Ian Flynn credit where it's due. That he did reestablish Eggman Robotnik as a threat, as someone that, hey, you push him to his limits, he'll do something so drastic that he doesn't care who he harms. You know, he doesn't even care if he harms his own Dark Egg Legion. As long as he can get what he wants, he's not going to care. You know, that's how pushed to the limit, you know, Ian's made him be portrayed, you know, by being pushed at the limit by Sonic. The fact that he's willing to go that far to change the world to his liking so he can conquer it. You know, not realizing the effects it could have on the planet, if not the timeline. So I have to give Ian credit. He's given that credibility of threat and villainy back to Eggman. Did I like how he kind of incorporated the early portions of the games, if you will, like Sonic 1 and 2? Yeah, I kind of like that. It kind of gives you a different aspect. I mean, to me, if you're a long-time reader, it's not exact. You know that what happened in Genesis isn't exactly how they met as kids, because they knew each other as kids when you look back on it. But to do what they did with Genesis was kind of a great nod, kind of give you an idea. If you're a game fan, primarily a fan of the games, it gives you a nod to the games and says, what if? What if this is how they would have met? Or what if this is how they met? You know, and I believe what Ian was trying to do was he was trying to let the fans of the games know, hey, look, what if Sonic met Sally and Rotor and Antoine through the games? You know, through the game-like world. Like, you know, they were one of the characters. They were some of the animals he rescued. What if he did that way? What if he met them that way? And boom, there you go. Fans would take, I think in his mind, he pretty much figured, oh, fans are going to take a liking to this. They'll get off some of these characters' backs because now in this Genesis story, they've met Sonic, you know, courtesy of the games, courtesy of the classic games. And I'm pretty sure he knew that it was either going to be a success or bomb, and I think he was kind of surprised when it was like a 50-50 deal, because some fans didn't like the fact that you know Sally was going to be involved, all of them not. They just didn't like it. I mean, heck, you got fans now, you know, kind of joking around, if you will, at certain forums saying, oh, you know, once Sally should she be restored, you know, should she be restored, once that happens, they're going to rename Team Fighters Team Son Sal. And it's like, dudes, get over it, man. Just because she's going to get involved probably with the team in some ways, whether she's still robotic or not, doesn't mean diddly squat. What it means is she's just going to help them in a way. It doesn't mean, well, it does mean diddly squat, but I'm just saying it doesn't mean they're going to change the character name, if you know what I'm saying, this team name. You know, but again, I'm pretty sure he knew it was 50-50. As far as the aftermath, I mean, I did like how slowly but surely Sonic and Sally, believe it or not, I know some people don't like to hear that, were the only ones that were starting to slowly remember certain things about what really happened. So it finally kind of put two and two together, like, hey, this is not all work. Like at the end, where they finally both came to the senses, of like, well, wait a minute, this is not how we met. This is not the world we live in, you know. No, I thought that was pretty cool. That, you know, they kind of added in Ian added in the fact that they had to slowly regain their memories. They were the only ones. because they were the only ones close enough to, they were in the Death Egg when you think about it, when this whole thing happened. So it makes sense that being in the Death Egg, they would be the ones, or at least some of the ones, that would slowly start to remember things as they were. As far as the after effects, of the issue, going in 230, I have to say this. You know, I've said this before, and there's a lot of fans out there, either here on YouTube, at the forums, at the sites, the websites, at DeviantArt and all that probably will agree. Some of you say, oh, there's not many people that will agree. Believe it or not, some do agree. Some will agree. You know, I do get where Ezekiel 300's coming. And let me explain this. What happened to Sally in 230, Ezekiel 300? You could put as part of the top in the same category as what happened to Maria and what happened in Sonic 06, the video game. You could put it in that same category. All right, you could put it in that same category. It's just as bad, I guess, if you look at it from a character standpoint. It's just as bad as what happened in those games. It's what happened to Maria and what happened in 06. Just as bad. Okay? Equaled out. But I will say this. One thing that Ezekiel 300 did point out is that Ian did a great job when he wrote down Sally doing what she did, because it showed how much you know, she's willing to sacrifice to protect the people, protect the world, even if it means at the cost of her own freedom, and probably the cost of the fact that she's going to be used as a weapon of mass destruction or something like that. You know, so be it. You know, she'll do it, even if she doesn't know that, you know, later on, a couple issues later, she's going to get weaponized. So I agree that what she did, sacrificial wise, was good. But then on the other hand, I look at it like, okay, you just spent 4 issues, 4.5, well, 4 in a page, 4 issues in 1 page from 225, of having Sonic, of having this whole Genesis arc, and basically, you know, you use this whole thing of bringing her back in Genesis. Sonic basically wanted to go back in time in the final issue of Genesis to prevent her from being killed, and yet you only prevent her from being killed only to have her be roboticized. And what you're doing is you're taking Sega's mascot, if you will, you're taking him and you're making him look like an idiot. Well, not an idiot, but you're making him look like a fool. Because basically what you did is you made him basically reverse time for nothing. Chaos Control and reverse time for nothing. Because, well, not just nothing, but, you know, he did save her, but in the end he didn't save her because of what she did. Because what she did, even pointed out by the characters, was she sacrificed herself to help everybody. Which is a good thing, but it also, in the end, if you're Sega, you're looking at this and you're saying, well, wait a minute. This guy just made our mascot look like a fool, look like an idiot for what he did. You see, as much as a lot of people may not like Sega, you got to look at it from their standards. You know, Sonic is their mascot, and when Sonic goes and rescues somebody, they're supposed to stay rescue. You're not supposed to basically make him look like an idiot, make him look like a fool. And in the eyes of some, that's what Ian Flynn did. Yes, those same people will agree that what Sally did with her sacrifice was a good thing, but in the same sense, you made Sonic look like a fool. You made him look like an idiot. Like, I did this just for this to happen? Doesn't make sense. Now, the after effects about it, I will say this. There's a lot of things that took place afterwards. I mean, the way, the characters reacted. A lot of people said, they're nothing but crying, breaking down, and all that. Yes, it does have a huge effect. I will give them that. It does have a huge effect on the characters. Because you got to think about some of the characters involved. Bunny, Antoine, Rotor, Amy, Tails, all close friends. Just like Sonic was with Sally. So yeah, it does have a huge effect on them. It does have a huge effect, like, oh shit. Our leader, if you will, someone that they looked at as the leader of the team, is now going to be against them. So, technically, yeah. You need to have that kind of emotion and everything in there, whether you like it or not. Now, as far as what some of the after effects, like Bunny's de-robotization, some don't like that. They don't like how it was kind of a deluxe ex macha deal, or whatever you call it, deus ex macha. With magic and all that. Even if you have, a character like Naugus, and even characters like Naugus and Jeffrey going, how does that happen? How did we do that? Because yeah, she was crystallized, but to have someone like Naugus go like, how did I do this? And Jeffrey go like, how did he do that? To me, I can understand how fans feel about that. Like, well, wait a minute. It was established that there's no way she could be restored, and now suddenly she is. And I can understand, and from a standpoint, you can kind of understand how fans feel of the fact that if this is what they do for Sally's restoration, a lot of people that look at Ian as being nothing more than a cop-out will look at him like that even more. So, to them, it's like if he goes this route with Sally's restoration, then it's going to be the biggest cop-out we've seen. And I'm pretty sure Ian Flynn, if he was to go in that direction, he will have an explanation. He'll probably be like, look, how else are you going to get her back to normal? They don't have a de-roboticizer. The beam are who knows where. So, so you could probably understand how fans would feel about that, but then you probably have to understand how Ian would feel if he goes in that direction and later on explains it. So to me, you got to look at it like this. Yeah, it doesn't make sense the way it was done, but I guess if Ian writes in that Nicole's nanites can now be affected by crystallization and magic, then so be it. If the crystallization can be restored by magic, so be it. We don't know exactly what he did. We don't know what. Now we don't know exactly how it happened from a story standpoint, or why even Ian Flynn wrote it in that way. But we got to leave it the way it is, because if that to Ian Flynn is the only solution you have, so be it. It's the only solution you have. As far as Nicole's character goes, I have to say they did a good job with Nicole. I mean, I like how they kind of made her silent for a little bit after what happened, and then finally gets her to slowly speak up and everything. And and what they did with the people to go against Nicole, I mean, I can understand how people feel ill about Nicole, how the characters felt about Nicole, or those citizens, I should say, how they felt. What it's like, well, how can we trust her? How do we know she's not going to go haywire again? Or how do we know this is not going to happen? How do we know that's not going to happen? To me, I think, as crazy as it sounds, I think Ian kind of wrote it the best he could, because you got to look at it from a traumatic standpoint. Okay, let me use an example. Wars. Let's look at the wars. Vietnam Wars, Gulf War, the current war that's winding down right now in Afghanistan, and stuff like that. Take a look at how these veterans, these people that have gone through hell, feel. And they're having all these traumatic revisitations in their minds or in their dreams. You know what I'm saying? And they could wake up in a cold sweat like, no, you got to think of it this way. Maybe Ian's playing off of those kind of things, because you got to look at this, because you got to look at it like this. If he's playing off that kind of a situation, then it's no wonder from a story standpoint why the citizens wouldn't trust her, because they're having all these traumatic relapses. They're having all these dreams and nightmares of her losing control again. And from a writing standpoint, that's understandable. Some may not agree with it. Some may say that the citizens are acting like complete idiots, or wrote to act like complete idiots, because now they're trusting their fate and their lives in the hands of a wizard that only cares for himself and wants total control. To me, I just feel that Ian did the best he could, and he probably went by what I said. Probably used, what veterans and soldiers went through in wars, and even with tragic events like Oklahoma City, 9/11, stuff like that. Probably used how people would feel traumatically, get like psychological help and all that. So again, to me, that's why I feel he probably did the best he could when he wrote the citizens being fearful, including Mina being fearful of Nicole, because they weren't sure if they could trust her. As far as the whole splitting of two teams, I think that's kind of a good idea, because it allows, as some people pointed out, and if you read the summaries, because you don't have to read the issues sometimes, apparently, but when you read what people say, the summaries and all that, to me the splitting of two teams with a team led by, actually three teams when you think about it, with the splitting of three teams, it kind of helps out, because it takes the burden off the main team, which is Team Fighter, Sonic, Amy, and Tails, and allows other teams like Eliza's team, the Secret Freedom Fighters, to split into two if they have to and go in different areas. It allows Team Freedom, led by Rotor, to do what they have to do at home. So, to me, I think the splitting of the three teams is a great move. It gives more characters, whether people maybe like the characters or not. It gives them more opportunity to shine. So I think that, to me, is what needed to be done for these characters, because a lot of fans feel, hey, the characters aren't getting much screen time because of this person or that character or this character. Now they're getting the opportunity, whether you like it or not. So I really think Ian Flynn did a great job there. It's hard to believe, by doing the three-team split. I really like that. It gives characters more spotlight, gives them more opportunity to shine and do what they have to do storyline-wise from different aspects of the story arc, whether it's in the main comic or in universe. So I thought that was a great decision. As far as the Antoine situation, I can understand you need a casualty, even if that casualty is in a coma and all that. And to me it is kind of shocking that you would take one of the main characters of the comic and do that to them, but I guess in a way it goes back to what I said at the beginning. Ian Flynn doing what he did with Eggman, reversing time and basically wiping out anybody, including his own Dark Egg Legion, to recreate the world in his own image. To me, I thought was, like I said, it was a great move. It makes him more threatening and more villain-like. And what happened with Antoine gives you that kind of feeling, gives you that sense of feeling that it's making him more threatening. It's making him more villain-like, more psychotic. And in the way now I get here's the other here's the other thing. The aftermath of that, some people do question, because here you have Antoine laying in a hospital in a coma, and his wife Bunny Roberts like, I can't take this no more. I got to do something. And some people saying she just walks out basically after she tells him she loves him and she'll be back or something like that, and she just walks out. Some people may question that, and yeah, it may seem like a stupid move, but you know what? It's kind of like what the great Stan Lee of Marvel Comics has said, and I even heard him say it in his documentary on Netflix called "With Great Power," the Stan Lee story. I watched that, and again he said exactly what he said in a lot of interviews. He said when he did certain stories certain ways, he was doing it to make them more realistic. When he based his characters in New York, in the real world, and gave them real life situations and put them in real, and like instead of like giving them a fictional car, they gave him like a Chevy Corvette and stuff like that. He was trying to be realistic. And I guess in Ian's sense, in a realistic standpoint, here you have Bunny, who has just lost her best friend and to robotization, no longer is half robotic, which made her basically a part of the team and made her the strength of the team. But now she has her husband lying in a hospital bed in a coma, not sure if he's going to make it. So yeah, from a realistic standpoint, it makes someone like, say, a Bunny Rabbit do desperate things at desperate times, and that's why she did what she did when she left, because she had to go do what she had to do. She felt, hey, I can't stay here anymore. I got to get up and do something, and even if it means probably doing what 75% of the fan base feels she's probably doing or going to be doing, then so be it. It doesn't mean she's going to end up being a slave to the enemy. It just means she's got to do what she's got to do. And like I said, if Ian's doing it from a realistic standpoint, so be it. It may, not many people will agree with it. 50-50. Again, like I mentioned earlier, not many people will agree with it, but you got to look at it from Ian's standpoint, and maybe from the standpoint that he wants to be as real as he can be with these characters. As far as Mina and Nicole making up, I know some people don't like that, but to me, Mina and Nicole, they had to reconcile in some ways. They had to. You can't just have Mina and her at different points in the comics, like you're not sure they could trust each other. And some people may not agree of how it was done, but when you look at it, Mina took the chance to go to Freedom HQ and say, look, Nicole, hear me out. I was wrong in what I did. I shouldn't have done what I did. I didn't mean for it to go out that, I didn't mean for the song to come out the way it did. I was just fearful. I was having all these traumatic experiences. I was having these nightmares. At least she had the guts to do that. And some people again may disagree with it, and some will agree with it. But you have to have a point, whether it's a popular one or whether it's forced or not, where you have to have the characters reconciled in some ways. And I think Ian, from what I've understood, from summaries and from what other people have said in their reviews, I think he did a decent job. I think he did okay. It may have been forced, it may have been, forced right into it, but hey, he did the best he could. We can't, whether we like the guy or not, and I've had my problems with him in the past, he did the best he could here, with all due respect. As far as Silver's situation, to me, I think Silver's going to play a huge integral part in this whole deal with Sally being probably restored. I can't be 100% sure about that yet, but possibility. I know some people don't like the fact that Silver is being shoved down our throats, if you know what I mean. on a constant basis. But I think what Ian's gonna, I think Ian, this is basically, to me, this is Ian's side project with the Sonic comics. This is his pet project and his pet side project. Like, hey, I'm going to do what I have to do to get this story with Silver, you know, done and over with. I'm gonna find a way to get it done and over with, even if it means maybe this and that. So be it. Maybe you know, they may not agree with it. So be it. But I gotta do it. And that's why he's kept him in there. He's going to get the revelation out somehow, and who knows what it'll be. But you know, Silver, he will. The reason he's there is he's going to play an integral part, believe it or not. It may not be, we may not like seeing him there all the time, but he's going to play an integral part. You know, so that's why I think Silver's got a role there. As far as the use of the wolf pack, especially Loop, as well as now the integration of Lita and Lyko, I thought it was okay. I mean, I know sometimes people have come out and they've said, you know, the overuse of having Sally appear before her friends roboticized and weaponized, and the shock value and all that's being overused. I understand that. You only have to do it once. Maybe have the good guy characters, you know, send out word that, hey, this is what happened to Sally. So if you see Sally approach you in some ways, it is her, but it's not her. Kind of give them that idea. But I thought it was good, because now you're taking two underutilized Wolfpack characters, and at least you're giving them spotlights, if you will, in the new story arc for Sonic Universe. Whether you agree with that or not, I think that's a good use of some underused characters. And Loop, I thought was pretty good, and I thought the use of Loop was okay, because at least okay. Here's the thing: I do read the previews, but I don't read the entire comic. That's the solution there. But Loop, I like how she points out to Drago, because despite whoever the writer is, obviously you got to play Drago up as an idiot. I like how she points out to Drago that, hey, what do you think's going to happen once I'm legionized? You think I'm going to stand side by side with you as your queen? No. Eggman's going to dump you, he's going to dump Razor Claw, and he's going to put me in charge. That's what he's going to do. Can't you see that? You know, I like how she basically points out the obvious. You know, yeah, she may have been put in that situation where she's captured and has to be rescued, but I like how they point out that obvious. That's pretty cool. And I like how they kind of give her where she's talking with the Fidel Queen, and basically explaining that, yeah, you know, this is what happened with my friend, you know, being Sally. This is what happened with my friend, and it seems that Eggman can not only now roboticize, but he can also weaponize that roboticized individual. So I like how, you know, it may have been a minimal part for her, but I like how she kind of points out to the Fidel Queen what happened, and how more, you know, twisted things could be if you're how more twisted Eggman can be with you if you're roboticized. And again, I like how she points out the obvious to Drago, that, hey, look, you're not going to be in charge if I get legionized. I'm going to be in charge. I'm going to be the one that, you know, takes both over yours and Razor Claw's job. So I like that. And again, I like the integral use of Lita and Lyko in this. Even though Lita and Lyko's appearance in the story, yes, they were going to be in the, obviously they were already planned to be in Sonic, the Universe arc Secret Freedom Fighters. I get that. But even if the use in the main story, 237 and 238, was, I guess you could say, probably last minute because of a certain character not being able to be used, and that character being Hershey, due to circumstances beyond his control, aka the Ken Penders case, I thought, again, was okay. At least they're being utilized. At least you're taking these two characters that obviously, I think when you look from a fan standpoint, were kind of popular with the fans, but was just never really used. So I thought that was okay. I thought that was cool. I thought that was pretty cool for the for him to do. May have been last minute because he couldn't use Hershey, but still I thought it was okay. Overall, I have to kind of say it's a 50-50 situation right now. I mean, there have been times where the 50-50 has been not good, have been more so good, and then sometimes there have been situations where it's been not good. So it's kind of like the not good has outweighed the good, and times the good has outweighed the not so good, from what I've understood from the reviews, summaries, and from the everything people have talked about from the forums, the sites, DeviantArt, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, even now maybe with Tout. I get, from what everything I've collected, I kind of get where some of them are coming from. When they say it was good, and how much the good at times would have outweighed the not so good, and at times the not so good has outweighed the good. So again, it's been 50-50 right there with this current story arc. Last but not least, as far as Jeffrey's portrayal, I'm not going to be surprised that if down the line, in the next few issues or whatever, it gets revealed that Nagas has been playing Jeffrey and his family this whole time. He's just been using the loyalty to the kingdom to get what he wants. So, and he doesn't really care about them. So, to me, I think the portrayal situation with Jeffrey is not going to last much longer. I really don't. I got a feeling it may not be in the next 2 to 3 months, maybe down the line, but he's going to be back to normal. He'll be back on the side of good, or at least in some capacity, not evil anymore. And as far as MonkeyCon goes, I think MonkeyCon, in a way, played an integral part when he was used. I think him using his crown, the power ring crown that he had, to replace the power ring inside Sally that had drained, basically drained out, its power had drained out, replaced it. To me, I think honestly, is going to play an integral part in the near future, because I think you can already see the signs, even after he put the thing in her. He said he loved her, and she questioned, like, you love me? It's like something was starting to come through. And when even Tails attacked her, it's like she was shocked by that, even though she couldn't probably control, even though she was just doing her orders, going by her orders and all that. And even recently, from what people have said, Eggman stating, hey, you want to go kill your brother? Kind of gave her the shocked expression, like, you want me to do what? He's like, there's little bits of her still there and starting to seep through. So I think that the ring switching definitely is going to play an integral part. And as far as the Blue Chaos Emerald goes, a lot of fans have given their own speculation. Some have felt that the emerald was fused with Sally when she got roboticized, and some feel something else may have happened to it. We don't know. But we'll just have to wait and see exactly in the next 2 to 3 months what direction Ian's going to go here. And as far as Snively, I think the situation with Snively is, and the Iron Queen as well, is you knew Snively eventually was going to probably end up in a cell somewhere, and probably, in Eggman's terms, or what many people pointed out Eggman did, would be replaced in some ways, maybe with a Snively that's more obedient. As far as the Iron Queen, I'm pretty sure she's going to find out that the Snively that's with her is a fake, and that she's been duped. So, overall, I believe what's going to happen with this climax in the story arc in the next few months, or so we've been told, or at least the Mecha Sally portion, I think it's going to be something we might enjoy. We might be kind of 50-50 on it. We might enjoy, we may not enjoy. Again, another 50-50 deal. But as far as the overall story arc and you know, with the death egg and everything, I think it's going to definitely be a big one. It's going to climax and things are going to come full circle to the point that I think eventually, if Ian writes it this way, overall with the death egg situation, if he writes it this way, Eggman's going to probably come to realize, you know what? No matter what I do, no matter how threatening I can be, no matter what I do here, no matter how this and that, I can never win. And I think that I can never win in this world, and I think that's what's going to lead to the crossover. He's going to realize, you know what? But maybe maybe I should go to another world, another dimension, a zone in which I can win, or have a better chance at winning. So, but to me, overall, the story so far, even though I haven't read any of the issues, despite how people feel about that, which is, it's my choice, deal with it. It's my choice, and what I'm saying in this video, and what I've said in previous videos, and previous typings and all that, is my opinions and my thoughts. Deal with it. I think overall, it's been a 50-50 ride. Like I said, sometimes the good has outweighed the negative, and sometimes the negative has outweighed the good. So it's kind of 50-50, and we'll just have to see what happens in the next few months. But overall, that's my look at the past 15 issues of the story arc. And probably, as the title's going to say, the past 15 Sonic issues have been 50-50. So, comment down below, video response if you like. Take your time in watching this video if you want to. You know, go take a break, go get some coffee, go get a soda, go get a Burger King or McDonald's or whatever. Take a break, watch a movie if you want to, come back to this later if you want. But give me your comments down below, video response. And sorry it was long, but I had to get this off my chest, and I'll talk to y'all later. God bless, peace out, have a good TGIF.